going to be doing a transmission oil change on my 2015 BMW 535i. This is an xDrive and it has the ZF 8 horsepower transmission. ZF recommends a transmission fluid change on these every 8 years or between 50,000 and 75,000 miles. So here you can see the tools I have out for the job. What you'll see is the ZF transmission fluid replacement kit from FCP Euro over there to the left. That's with 7 liters of ZF fluid, and that is the recommended fluid to utilize with your ZF transmission. I also have a power fluid transfer pump, and this is something that I created myself. And you can find lots of videos online on how to create these from a typical garden sprayer. That's what this is, as well as the necessary Allen wrenches and various sockets that will be needed. The keys here, of course, will be the T40 Torx that you'll need in order to take off the bolts holding in the transmission pan itself. Okay, so at this point we're pretty much ready to go. As you can see, I have the car up on jack stands. So what I'm going to do is point out the jacking positions for this particular vehicle. I think for most people, the front central jack point, everyone knows where it is. For the rear, however, I see a lot of people lifting from the differential. Me, myself, I'm very leery of that particular practice. And for this car, the 535i, there is a central rear jacking point also, a particular cross member that I utilize, and I believe you should also. Okay, so here's a snapshot of the jack, and this is on the front central jack point, and you'll recognize it as really just that a silver metal block that's in the center of the splash shield itself. Okay, and so here is that rear jack point that I mentioned before, whereas here would be that different a lot of people like to utilize. Me, myself, I prefer this particular cross member here that extends across the rear of this 535. My jack will fit right here. This lip is very strong, don't worry about it. But yeah, picks it up with no risk to that very, very critical differential. Okay, we'll be going up underneath the car shortly. As you can see, it is on jack stands at this point. However, safety is everything. So this particular set of jack stands comes with a safety chuck. We like the wife, but we're not trying to get her paid. So we will be sure that these are inserted within place. All right, and this prevents the potential for any accidents with the jack itself. Okay, showing the splash shield removed. This, while pretty straightforward, there are a number of fasteners. So my advice would be do what I did here. As you can see it over here, I just went out, got my my impact drill, put on that 8mm socket, and took this thing apart. Here's a good feel for the number of fasteners here. I'm just gonna lay them out on the floor, spread these around. So it's quite a few. Another important point, when you're looking at this splash shield, take a good look at it. This splash shield gives you a good feel for the overall health of the underside of your car. And looking at mine, this thing is pretty much pristine. There are no leaks anywhere, and that's what you want to look for. Take a good look for leaks. So nothing like that here. So we're good to go. So another look from the underside of the car. The car is in pristine condition. Yeah. Here's the oil pan itself. I'm gonna have to try and take this away. I noticed that this is like a bracket for the splash shield. That's really gonna limit my access. Yeah. bracket that'll potentially limit my access to the transmission pan itself. Not really too much in eyeballing this. I may be able to work around it. Let's see what we got. Yeah, it's gonna block access to my fill plug. So yeah, I'll have to go. This looks like, just eyeballing it, a 10 external Torx. We'll have to be able to work with that. Or, let's see. Yeah, that may take a little bit more time, but no showstoppers. All right, so here we go. We've got the two heat shields that were on the driver and the passenger side removed. And here is the final blockage. Our good friends at BMW are not going to make this easy for you. You have this bracket here that really serves no purpose. It masquerades as a exhaust support bracket, but in reality, all it really does is block the entrance to the fill hole here. So, yeah, good try, guys, but we're going to get past this. So this looks to be like a E10 external Torx. We're going to get the necessary Torx socket, and we're going to remove this, and with that we'll have access, clear, unfettered access. Okay, so on a 2015 535i, you are looking at the obstructions to the transmission pan. And over here you got the two drivers and passenger side heat shields, and those are removed by a 10mm bolt. Here what you'll have is a support bracket, an exhaust support bracket, and these are a little bit different. This is held in place by an E10 external hex, I believe is what you'll call that. No, excuse me, external Torx screw. So there it is. With that, we will have unobstructed access to our transmission pan. Okay, so to open that fill plug, what I have here is an 8mm Allen key, and to get a little bit of leverage, a short extension of pipe that I'm going to fit that key into. Okay, my friends, so we now have all the obstructions out the way. We have unfettered access to our pan. Here's our drain hole. So it's showtime. Okay, so able to get her on, move her around. As you can see, I've got this flexing here. She was on there tight. However, that additional piece of pipe to give the additional leverage came in handy. So nice little pop when it broke, but yeah, she's ready to go. So with that, we start the drain process. All right, so here we go, right before the drain process. This is your last chance to stop. Run home to mama. From here, there's no going back. Still with me? All right, let's go. Ah, fuck. Okay, showing with the plug removed, oil's dripping out as indeed it's finished draining into the pan itself. So now I'm about to start removing the pan bolts. So here would be the first one. And with this, we've got our T40 Torx. There we go. First one broke pretty easily. These should be in here kind of loose at like around 4 or 5 Newton meters. So final dregs of the drain taking place. As you can see, my fluid is really quite clear, greenish still in color. Again, I have 73,000 miles on my car at this point in time, but it's been basically easy driving on this vehicle. So no abuse, no track, anything of that nature. Okay, so this final drain here is taking place with me removing the pan bolts. I have all removed the bolts. I am essentially just tipping the edge of the pan right now to get the last bits out before I bring down the pan itself. So, showing the inside of the transmission now that the pan has been removed. We'll have to go up in here, clean this out. You want to be sure that the gasket from the pan itself is missing from here and it's still on the pan. So I'll wipe this down, clean it up, put the new pan on, and go through our fill procedure. So yeah, now just going around, I'm gonna clean off the pan mating surfaces. For those who are interested in such a thing, here is the switch by which you would put your transmission in neutral. If you ever found yourself in a jam, just simply screw this in. I'll probably come back behind myself here with a little bit of brake cleaner, just to be sure that, you know, the gasket mating surfaces here are good. Yeah. No additional materials. You come in here and you can wipe all this down. You know, the solenoid covers if you like, but it really doesn't make much of a difference here. Just for the neat freaks here. So yeah. There you go. So, with the pan out, I'm comparing it to its replacement pan. And I'll say there are quite a few differences. Basically, they line up. That's a good thing. However, when I look at the replacement ZF pan itself and compare it to the original pan that the car came with, you can see that the original pan has lots more in terms of magnets. When I look at the replacement FCP Euro pan, much fewer magnets, indeed only in the back, and it looks like I may even be missing one. So not too happy with that. Yeah, other than that, from the original pan itself, and just looking at what these magnets would have picked up, yeah, a little bit here, nothing too much though. Yeah, indeed, I'm wondering if I could pull one of these magnets and put it in my replacement pan. I won't do that, however. No telling what might go wrong. But yeah, so not a showstopper, but kind of disappointed in that. I would have liked to seen more magnets in the replacement pan. Okay, so now we're going to start prepping the pan itself to put it underneath the car. So what we're going to do here is really we're just going to take a bit of the ZF fluid. We're going to go around the mating gasket surfaces with it in order to prep the gasket itself. You don't want to put this on here dry. Look at it as the same as you would if you were changing oil. You would essentially lube the O-ring of your oil filter with fresh oil. We're going to do the same thing here with this pan, except we're using transmission fluid. Of critical import will also be this particular O-ring here around the pump fitting. Critical, indeed, you'd want to be sure that that is still attached to your old pan and not stuck in the intake. Otherwise, you will have pump pressure problems. So with that, let me dip my finger here into my ZF fluid. We'll take it. We're just going to light coating light coating around the mating surfaces. And of course, the same for the O-ring that we spoke to earlier. All right, at this point, we're ready to go up underneath the car and put this in place. Ready to put our pan up and into place. And our mating surfaces are clear. So we're going to line everyone up. This looks good. Here we go. Give that a nice little punch to seat that, so we're good. Okay, so we've got the pan up in place and we're in the process of torquing it down. So this is the plastic pan and its specs are 10 Newton meters, or that's roughly 7 foot-pounds. So we're just going through the final check. Okay, so now that we have our transmission pan up and in, we're now going to start our fill procedure. So for our fill procedure, as we've seen earlier, we've created a pressure filler, if you will, or a power fill to utilize with this process to speed it up. Essentially what I've taken is a garden sprayer and modified it somewhat. We're going to put in our ZF fluid into this container and we're going to use that to speed up our fill. Okay, so now we're starting our fill procedure and I'm going to be filling my homemade power filler with ZF fluid. So I'm going to put about 5 liters in here. So there we go. I've got 4 liters within here. I'm going to close this up, pressurize it. Okay, so we're going to start our first fill process using our power filler. We are pressurized and let us find our fill hole. Are we in? We're in. They are flowing. Okay, so our first fill is complete. We're dripping from our fill hole. We're now going to put the plug on and get ready to bring her up to temperature. Okay, so because I've seen a lot of different information out on the web regarding the ZF specs on how to actually fill this ZF 8 horsepower transmission, I decided to pull the specs myself, and this is what you see on screen and the process and how to do it. So we're going to start the engine. We're going to check its temperature, see if that temperature is between 30 and 50 degrees centigrade. Once within that temperature range, we are going to rev the engine to 2,000 RPM for 30 seconds to fill the torque converter. Once that's done, we're still going to take another look at our temperature, make sure that we're still within the safe operating range. If that's true, we're now going to shift through our gears. We're going to hold each gear for 10 seconds. We're then going to switch over to manual. We'll run M1, M2, M3 if it allows. Hold each of these also for 10 seconds. We will then go back and recheck our oil level by opening the drain plug. You will do this with the engine on. At that point in time, when we open the plug, if there's no spillage, we'll refill and top off with more fluid until we actually have spillage. We'll then wait for that spillage to slow to a trickle, seal it, and we should be done. Okay, so now we're about to check the transmission fluid temperature. The car is currently off. As you can see, we're sitting currently at 28 centigrade. We need this to be between 40 and 50. So we'll turn the car on and give it time to heat up. Okay, so our temperature is coming up. We've just turned the car on. So we're currently at 28. 29. Just trying to get a feel for how quickly the transmission heats up here. Okay, our transmission operating temperature is now up to 35 degrees centigrade. What I want to do at this point is rev the RPMs up to 2000 and hold that for 30 seconds at this point. So, put on brake, even though we are in park. And now we'll just rev her up to 2000 RPM. See if we can hold that for 30 seconds or so. Gonna fill our torque converter. Okay, so we've done that. Notice our temperature has climbed slightly during that exercise. We're now holding at, see if I can bring this into focus, 37 degrees. So with that, I'm going to get ready to start shifting through my gears. So I'll go through each gear. It's already in park, so I'll pull it into reverse and drive, hold each for 10 seconds, and then I'll switch it over into manual and walk through each of those gears. D1, D2, which on this car will be M1, M2, and maybe M3, I believe. So, but we'll toggle through them all. All right, so we're going to start going through our gears. First into reverse. Hold that for 10 seconds. Okay. And into drive. Hold that for 10 seconds. Switch over to manual. And so give me 2. 3. Okay, so we just ran through all of them, and I'll do it one more time. Okay. Back into park. So with that, we're up to 39 degrees now, so I want to go out and check my fill. Okay, our final fill is taking place. So we're running this now until she overflows. And there we go. Okay.